Assalamu alaikum, my name's Salim Siddiqui and this is Hot Conflict. Well, it's been a long time since I talked to any of you and I thought of doing something a little bit different. I hear these days getting up to a chalkboard or a whiteboard is all the rage, and so I've been wondering, what can you actually do if you take a pen or a writing instrument and put together letters or symbols or pictures? Is it possible for people to express themselves by writing, to alter people's perceptions and ideas by using signs and symbols? Do we have amongst our people somebody who is known as a writer, a scribe, a preserver by the pen? Yes, that one we know is Idris. And because we've been talking about Enoch and the mysteries of Enoch, Enoch is known as the scribe. وَاذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ إِدْرِيسَ. Remember in the book of Idris. Idris has a book. He is a writer of the book, and in the book, remember about Idris. وَاذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ إِدْرِيسَ إِنَّهُ كَانَ صِدِّيقًا نَبِيًّا. Verily, Idris was known to be what? By what nature, by what sign, by what symbol? He was a Siddiq, somebody who had kept the trust, the honor, the oath, the authority, the covenant, a preserver of the sacred. Trust, a Siddiq, Nabiya. He was sent as a prophet, given prophecy and preaching prophecy. وَرَفَعْنَاهُ مَكَانًا عَلِيًّا. And Allah says in the chapter called Maryam, chapter 19, that he has been risen up to a higher level. مَكَانًا عَلِيًّا, the next stage, the next level, beyond the level of those who speak the word, those who perhaps begin to write it, to take the pen and write the symbols and teach by the signs. Something new and strange from Hot Conflict. Now, we're going to be talking about different things and just try a little bit of weirdness. Let's start back with Egypt. Well, first, of course, when we talk about drawing, people always talk about the basic shapes of geometric structure. Circles, squares, and of course, the triangle, right? Your basic triangle. When we talk about Egypt, we talk about the basic pyramid. We see the pyramid, and of course, if you go through the Masonic lore, you'll see that the pyramid has usually 13 steps to get to this capstone right there. But in the actual pyramid in Egypt, you find that it is a four-sided pyramid, four-sided at the base. And when you get to the centerpiece here, the actual capstone, this capstone piece, is not present. The pyramid is there and ends there, as if to imply there is levels that have been formed and there is an uncompleted level. This level, the capstone, sometimes called the capstone, it's sometimes called the peak or the apex of the pyramid. In Arabic, the term we use is dhirwat as-sanam, or dhirwat as-sanamiha, from the hadith. The actual peak of the pyramid of what we're upon. Now, those of you who are following along the sunnah understand what we mean by the capstone. So there has been this understanding that in Egypt is the sacred mysteries of what is embedded in the geometric structure, and that the pyramid itself is a marking of that. Now, some of this has been known amongst various secret brotherhoods and secret organizations. Well, what secret brotherhoods and secret organizations? There are some who say that when you go to the actual pyramids themselves and see that the pyramids are set up with two pyramids on one line, and then one pyramid askew. Designed, according to some, to line up with the star of Orion. Now they say, according to some, that there is a mystery embedded, that the pyramids, by the way they line up on the Giza Plateau, are designed to line up with the constellation of Orion. And now we know that a lot of the ancient cultures used signs and symbols and structures to point to various constellations or points in history or time in the past or in the future, references that we could use and calculate. And using sacred geometric forms, whether they be pyramids or circles or squares, they embedded these shapes and these forms with numbers and calculations by the sacred geometric laws, right? Geometry has rules, just like all things have rules. And those who can understand the structures and symbols of sacred geometry, that which is embedded within sacred sites and structures all over the world, including the earth, understand these things. Now we call ourselves Muslims. We say we are those people of the Kaaba, right? You got yourself a black Kaaba, a sacred square, and we encircle that sacred square 7 times, creating a resonance upon the square and compass of Earth, sacred geometric structure. Again, circles, squares. Let's go back to Egypt. So now we have the actual pyramids themselves, and some say they point to Orion. Others say no. This missing capstone piece leads up pointing to a sign of the 7 Pleiades, the 7 sisters. That the fact that the pyramid points up towards here, incomplete, it's aligned with the constellation of the 7 sisters. You often see the 7 sisters or the Pleiades referenced in a lot of different material. And some say no. If you take the structure of the actual pyramids themselves and line them up, you'll see that at certain points, certain passages have markings. And if you understand them on time, right? And the star, the bright star of the cardinal cross, then you would understand that we're pointing towards the stars of Sirius. The Sirius. Now we have 3 separate groups. We got the Pleiadians, we got the Orions, and we got the Sirians. Now strangely, in ancient Egyptian folklore, one of the main gods, or of those gods who are greens, we have Orions, and we have the 7 sisters of Pleiades, and we have the Sirians. Now, oftentimes when we refer to the Sirians, we refer to them as being those who have the blueprint or the design. When we refer to the Orions, we often refer to them as being green or the greens. And then the sisters of the Pleiades, the combination of all 7 colors of the 7 rays, the divine harmony or the divine feminine mercy, the divine feminine attributes of unity or encompassing all things. So there is this kind of tug of war. And then we also have in the ancient Egyptian folklore the concept that the pyramid itself is designed as a chamber for spiritual and physical resurrection. That it was designed so that possibly the Orions can attain physical afterlife by following the blueprint of the Sirians. So Orions used the pyramid to attain higher dimensional consciousness in line with the Sirian star. And if an Orion master attains that higher level consciousness, he will be resurrected in line of the light. And the Orion to do that would be an Orion merged with a Sirian. An Orion Sirian. An Orion, a very serious Orion. An Orion, an Aryan that's serious. A serious Aryan. A Saurian. An Orion, an Osirian. An Osirian. An Orion that achieves ascension. Osiris. Osiris achieves ascension by aligning himself to the divine plan or the blueprint that is established by the constellation and the stars. He achieves enlightened consciousness and gets to the next level of understanding the signs and symbols. So now we have a strange concept. We have this idea that the pyramid itself is designed to change consciousness and to change physical form and a methodology, or as a place for an individual to attain ascended status in the physical form. An Orion Sirian, an Osirian, Osiris. So now we have a pyramid, and some say the point of the pyramid is to make this center pillar to lead you up, and that the secret knowledge of this space and this space is to lead you to this sacred space. That this itself is a portal, an activation, an understanding. Well, you know, we always like to throw in a little pop culture, and so many of you who watch TV or sci-fi will recognize this same symbol, right? As the place on Stargate representing Earth, where the people of this planet ascend from, right? These things are not coincidental. We are those who believe in the Lord Most High, Allah, the one creator of all that is. Brethren of the Lodge or the Brotherhood would call him the Supreme Architect. The one source of all light of all the worlds, of all the realms. These signs, these symbols are universal. They're not just based on this planet, just like the Brotherhood and the Lodge system is based on many planets. Now there are those who say that of the lodges on Sirius, there are blue lodges on Sirius. The Brotherhood of Light of Sirius, the Blue Lodge. So now we have groups that say that if you put these 2 points together, you can lead to this point. And that this is the pillar, the struggle, the jihad, leading to what we call the apex or the peak. And then there are those who say no. There is even further mysteries. Because all symbols and all things, especially in this world that we call duality, have more than one meaning. So when you draw a triangle, it's really about this point and this point that lead to a sacred, special point down here. Now, there are those who say that the actual pyramids themselves are a gateway to some point here, leading to an inner earth. That the yin-yang of the triangle is actually talking about 2 points in space, connecting, leading you to an inner realm. Now, there are those who say that many of the ancients who were there, possibly at the time of the actual original pyramid, that they perhaps had to escape the earth. And there in the distance, we have the classic Sphinx pointing out in this direction, right? In line with one of the baselines of the pyramid. Now, there are those who claim that one of the inner realms connected to the pyramids is what? A connection to another race? A past people? A future people? The first ones? The ancient ones? Some say those who are lions. A lion race in the inner realms? Is that a possibility? Those who have merged themselves and understand the mysteries of the pyramids? Now then they will say that if you understand the triangle symbol and these points, and then the duality of those points, then you understand the reasoning behind the Star of David and the mysteries of what was understood. Now, strangely, if you have any knowledge of the Syrian mystery schools, then you have a classic symbol for what they call the beginning part of the Ummah. Now, there are those who claim that Christopher Columbus is the first to discover America, while finding people already present. It's such a strange thing. But it was known even amongst the ancients here in this land that when someone was known to have the authority, the trust, the sacred responsibility to maintain order and calm and peace and tranquility in the land, they would give him steel or gold or tin and encircle it. And they would call him sheriff. They would say, "You are from the noble line, you are from the noble lineage, you are part of the sacred or authorized trust, and we mark you with the symbol of the law of our people so that everybody may know you are duly authorized to pronounce. You have command authority of the word, and you bear the symbol or the mark." This was to differentiate which clans upon the earth had an understanding at what level and who was in command authority. Oftentimes, they call those who are upon this symbol 1, 2, 3, or this symbol with another 1, 2, 3, those who understand the 33rd degree. The yin and the yang of 2 triangles, 3 angles, and 3 angles, the 33. this is a classic understanding of some of the basic concepts that they call geometric form and geometric structure. Now, of the whole earth, there are those who say the same geometric patterns exist on the whole earth, and the three, or the triangle, or the sacred inner eye, right? They sometimes call this spot the inner eye. That above here, that prime spot, that peak, that apex, is where people see. Now, oftentimes, this symbol gets used by the Illuminati, Freemasonry, those who are falsely claiming knowledge of the signs and symbols of truth, and they use it to deceive and manipulate people. And so it's there in part of the duality again, that the eye sometimes represents darkness or evil, the evil eye, envy, jealousy, a bad form of manipulation or subtlety of manipulating the mind by the look, the nazar, right? But it is also applicable in the dualistic sense of the light for those who have insight, wisdom, those who have foresight, what we call in Arabic basira, or farasat al-mu'min, somebody who has an insight, precognition, right? Precognitive abilities. If someone can see things in their dreams, that's also called an insight. You're seeing with your inner eye. When we say we take our imagination and understand that we are not the creators of it, just like we can tell them all their stories and all their books and all their tales are not worlds that they have created. They reflect actual truths, sometimes reflected well, sometimes reflected poorly, depending on the memory and the ability or the skill of the person disseminating the word or the sign or the symbol or the cartoon or the drawing, the art or the sound or the vibration. All things reflecting more or less harmony depending on the skill level and intent and purity of the individual, whether they're more or less inclined towards their actual befitting goal. So now we have this concept of the inner eye. That above the pyramid is the third eye. This is often called the third eye, right? The 1-2 points joining together, making the third. This is also the same kind of trinity concept of the mother and the father and then the child, right? Whereas in actuality, we would say that the mother and the father are here, the mother and the father, and then from them a child is born in lineage, right? We tend to draw lineage down. When mothers and fathers think about their children, they tend to think about pushing them up. And so it is not strange that we have the consciousness level or the level of rulership of the word on the first level of the skies. That we know that the skies are leveled as 7, right? The skies are leveled as 7, and the first level is the level of Adam, peace and blessings be upon him, and the second level is Enoch, Idris, or the scribe, or the writer, the level of the books. And so we have in this noble story, in the tradition, that Adam, peace and blessings be upon him, is the ruler and the king of this earth, the Khalifa of this earth, the ruler and the king in the inner earth, and his son, Enoch, has already risen to command the first level of the sky. That Adam sees his son rise up. It is for Adam to see that his son has risen to a greater status than him. It is an honor for your father Adam to see that his son Enoch has risen up there. Just like it's an honor for us that our brother Enoch has become keeper of the sky. وَرَفَعْنَاهُ مَكَانًا عَلِيًّا. Allah says, we have raised him to the higher level. We have given him that next status. So now we have this strange patterning. We've got the concept of seeing the inner eye, seeing the level of the books or the scribes or the scrolls, and the preserving of the inner knowledge and the preserving of the Akash. What we sometimes call the consciousness field, the Akashic level. Many people in the East call it the Akashic level. Oftentimes Buddhists, Hindus call that level the Akashic level. Now, in the structure of the world, amongst the Eastern scholars, the mountains of Afghanistan are considered the place of the third eye. The mountains of that region are considered the place of the third eye. And it is known amongst the Himalayan mountain people and the Tibetan mountain people that they preserve the passages into the inner earth in the location of the mountains of the third eye. It is also the reason why the warriors of light, or the mujahideen, the spiritual lions of light, have been placed on the mountains of Afghanistan. Now you're finding out rumors and stories about great deposits of treasure and wealth and all kinds of things under the mountains of Afghanistan. So now we have in the East that the mountains of that range, all that area, are considered the gateway or the portal to the inner realm, and also the location of the third eye, or the inner consciousness, or the inner sight of the earth. This is amongst the scholars in the East, similarly matching the pattern of the pyramids. Many of you now perhaps know why the Westerners from the time of Alexander the Great went through those areas and tried to get through these mountain passes. And what does he describe? He describes that through these mountain passes approach to him ships and spacecraft. And the ancient Hindus call them vimanas and various other things. Many people describe them to have been pyramid-shaped flying craft. Pyramid-shaped flying craft flying over the mountains from the time of Alexander and the time in the current time. And even if you talk to some of our brothers and sisters who are actually of the light from the U.S. military and covert ops, they'll start telling you stories, and disclosures will start coming out. My name's Salim Siddiqui, the Mujahid speaking in the West, disclosing the signs and symbols for the brotherhood, any tribe, any group, any organization of those which are known on this earth, or any other world that is heard of or spoken about. I'm the guy you're looking for. So now we have Orions, Pleiadians, Sirians. We've got Eastern mystics, we've got Western mystics, we've got pyramids, we've got upper realms, we've got lower realms. All these things embedded within the same symbols. If you take the circle, the sacred Kaaba, the square, and circle the earth, not based on a mean, the middle, or the average, but the actual law of the cardinal cross, and this ratio, which is called the golden ratio. And then you would find that the Kaaba is the sacred square that marks the golden ratio of the whole earth. Now, why that's important is because once you know where in your globe, right, that you have Once you know that right there, this spot, Mecca, is actually lined up in the center, and if you line up a map and squared it off, this point would end up being the golden ratio spot. Now, of course, depending on how you line up a map and where you end up making it squared, you're going to get different golden ratio spots. And that's important because now people are learning that different golden ratio spots on the Earth have different places and different values. An important part that we wanted to notice was that when people came to the United States, they found out that the sacred square and squaring the sacred square and encircling it had already become known as a new tribe. And that those who understood the square squared for 4 had already established themselves here. Now that's kind of important. Because when the Master Masons got here, it is well known that Jefferson found they had already understood the knowledge of the square squared. And they had already established certain ritual sites understanding how to point the sacred square in the appropriate direction that only a Master Mason or somebody who has knowledge of the whole circumference of the whole Earth could comprehend. Which means the Master Masons who arrived from Europe, some of them, comprehended that those who were on the United States of America already understood the sacred sites both of the triangle and of the square squared. Now Jefferson happens to be one of them, right? And we find references to him having many meetings with the Native Americans, and this leads to a deeper understanding of their culture and the reason why Native American law is still a fully practicing law equal to the federal and state government. We have federal government, state government, and we have Indian law. It is fully valid and fully authorized. Now, the fact that they have absconded on many different promises made and gone around the laws and then annexed and stolen land and violated treaties, that's a whole nother story. But understanding that the signs and the symbols always existed and people comprehended them and knew what they mean. So now we go back again to them then building the sacred square monument with the pyramid capstone on the top as the Washington Monument, symbol of the divine masculine. And then next to that, the Capitol building some distance away with the dome of 72 degrees, right? The 72-degree dome of the apotheosis of Christ. Again, the square and the compass with their cornerstones built with sacred geometry, meaning all buildings should have their cornerstone, their mihrab, their directional pointer pointing to the sacred heart location of the earth. If the person or place or structure was built according to Masonic law, then it was built according to the square, and the compass, right? the two implements of the guild, of geometry, of God, the transmutation of gold. But right now we're just talking about circles and squares. And so, if you understand that getting to the first level is 3 on 3, then the next level is squared 4 on 4, then you begin to see what happened in the formation of the United States of America and what the founding fathers attempted to do. They wanted to alter the consciousness field, and they thought, if we can take 13 colonies and line them up according to ancient law with authority and produce the new sacred square squared with 4,400 words of the divine feminine, we can encircle the whole earth with mercy and light and compassion, and let everyone upon the whole earth live out their true, most noble, higher self, to seek out true life, liberty, and the pursuit of your own personal happiness, this true understanding. Because they who were master masons, or they who had understood the secrets, knew that Jesus, on the Last Supper, told his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Jesus told his, there were 12 disciples. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now we got another ring. Let's connect those. Well, Jesus tells his 12 disciples, we connect that to the center, that I am the center, the sacred divine feminine, to connect all 12 tribes. And now that you have connected the inner realm of the kingdom, I am now going to lead you to connect to the upper realm and produce the ascension. And if you now understand what is happening from this connection, then you end up getting the same sacred square of the Kaaba that we've been saying the whole time. You get the original center point, back to the original sacred square, which is those who are assigned to bring this world to the fifth dimensional consciousness by aligning everyone upon the earth, the whole circumference of all of the earth, upon the single intent that raises the consciousness level of the whole earth. This is the goal and the mission of those who call themselves Muslims. We are those who came after Christ, right? Every single Muslim on the surface of the earth is a soul that came after Christ ascended to now establish the fifth dimensional consciousness of the earth. And to do so, we gather 5 times daily, depending on where our individuals are, anywhere on the whole earth. We synchronize ourselves in a structure based on sacred geometry, directing our intent towards the sacred Kaaba, and in unison, counterclockwise, spinning the chakras of this earth the light Kaaba, the Mar Kaaba of ascension of the earth. We spin the light Kaaba of the earth higher, counterclockwise, by praying towards it. Our intent directed in unison. Every Muslim, I know many people in the West, they talk about focusing on the 111s or 1111s, or they say, let's gather together on this special day and join in our intent. We want you to know that there are Muslims of the light here on this earth. They all, in unison, 5 times daily, based on the movement of the sun, based on the calculations and the settings of the tides of the moon, gather in mosques or at their individual homes, each in their specific location at the time, 5 times daily, in congregation or individually, all directing their intent, united towards the center of the chakra of the earth, to spin the markaba of this earth, to push the whole planet towards ascension. And we have been doing it for 1,500 years, based on sacred geometric structure, knowing exactly what we're doing and knowing exactly what is the mission of those who you call the Earth Alliance. My name's Salim Siddiqui. Hope you enjoyed me playing around on the chalkboard or the whiteboard. We'll do more of this in the future. Maybe this will get out to some of the people who couldn't understand some of the concepts, and now they'll start to see. You're looking for the Earth Alliance? We're consciously working for the ascension of the earth. And don't worry, even if you don't realize what's going on, we got this. It's all taken care of. All we ask is, don't fight with us. Stop calling us ignorant, heathen, backward pagans, and realize that the 5th dimensional beings that you're looking for, we are here physically on this earth with you, raising the consciousness level of this earth. We are the warriors of light, the mujahideen. We are those who openly oppose the dark, and we always have been. We are those who are the maintainers of the pyramids. We are the maintainers of the sacred sites of the Kaaba. We are the maintainers of the sacred sites of the city of the Prophet. Still, to this day, Mecca and Medina, we do not allow anyone other than those of the light, those of the higher dimensional consciousness, to even enter within the city limits. Perhaps now you will begin to understand why it is that the Mujahideen and those of the Earth Alliance refuse to allow those of the dark of any fashion who have not perfected their own selves into the realms of our city. There is no cities upon this earth that you know of, other than Mecca and Medina, that are still secluded only to those who call themselves of a certain light and a certain faith. My name is Salim. I'm the one from the West that has gone and lived for 3 years in the city of Mecca, the city of the Kaaba, the city of light, the city of the heart chakra, of the square and compass of the earth. There's way more going on than you thought. Assalamu alaikum. Peace. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.